Welcome to the Business Results Program. This is how you can transform yourself, your team, and your whole company. My name is Pete Winiarski. I'm the CEO of Win Enterprises, LLC, and this video is us recording a podcast episode. Podcast Business Results Radio. Look up businessresultsradio.com or go check it out on iTunes or one of the other podcast platforms. And do subscribe and do give a 5-star review. Now, you as a business leader, we get what you're going through. You've got overwhelm and stress and frustration. You have high expectations on your shoulders, some of which you put there yourselves. Why can I say this? Because we, our team, we've experienced this ourselves. We have been business leaders. We know what it's like. And boy, how cool is it that you have this resource? You can listen to this podcast, gain some insights about what you can do differently, gain some ideas, some strategies that you can put in place right away to make your life easier. That's what we're after here. We want your life to be easier because being a business leader does not have to be this challenging, doesn't have to be this hard. And we want you to exceed your expectations, excel, and achieve the results you want, get your team to thrive, and your company to just absolutely go right through the roof. And you can do that here. Enjoy this episode. Hey, Pete again, real quick. This is a special part of our Business Results Radio podcast. I'm part of a panel for leadership skills and development at this workshop as part of the Fabtech Expo. And I want to introduce you to each of the other speakers and do some teaser content for you. So whether you can make the Fabtech Expo in person or not, you'll get an opportunity here to get to know some of these people and their content. High power, get to know you in terms of leadership skills and development. Fabtechexpo.com if you're interested in learning more. It's the education program on that site. And listen away here at Business Results Radio and Business Results TV. Hey there, Pete Winiarski here. I'm here today with Amir Ghannad. And Amir and I are both on the same platform as part of this leadership development program at Fabtech. Fabtechexpo.com. It's in Chicago. Even whether you can make it or not, do watch this whole thing, digest the information. Amir is amazing. You're going to love him and you're going to get to know him in the next few minutes right here. Amir, thank you for joining. How are you today?
It's great to be here. Thank you so much. I'm doing great, Pete. How about yourself?
I'm doing great today too.
Awesome.
I'm in Connecticut. Are you in Atlanta today?
Yes, I am.
So Amir lives in Atlanta. I used to live in Atlanta. So just by nature of speaking with Amir right now, I feel like I'm there.
Yeah, there you go.
So Amir, tell us a little bit about your background, and obviously we're on the leadership platform, and I know you have a book about leadership. So tell us about your background. Tell us about the book.
Sure. So Amir Ghannad, I basically started my career with Procter & Gamble about 34 years ago. I have a master's in mechanical engineering, so just really kind of a technical background. But very early in my career with P&G, I really started gravitating toward energizing people and empowering people and things like that. So before I read any leadership books, I kind of figured that my folks were much better at what they did than I would ever be. So I started working with them to say, okay, what are some ways in which I can serve you? And so I spent 18 years or so, about 19 years with Procter & Gamble in Georgia, Bangkok, Thailand, Dover, Delaware, and then Germany for a few years. And then I came back stateside, worked for Sunny Delight Beverages Company for about 8.5 years, and then Campbell Soup for 4 years. And about 3 years ago, I left my 31-year career and started a consulting practice with my wife and 2 kids who are actively and full-time involved in our practice, where we guide leaders in creating extraordinary cultures that deliver breakthrough results. In 2015, I published my book, The Transformative Leader, and we have shipped it to about 30 countries. And it's just an instrument that sort of engages us in a lot of really, really great conversations.
I love that you held up the copy of your book. So thank you for doing that. And
Sure, no problem.
I'm taking a few notes here, right? With as I hope the rest of you watching or listening, tend to do. What's really exciting about everything that you said is the fact that you've gotten to a point where you've involved your whole family in what you're doing now. So, there's a passion I have for doing that. My kids are still, a little bit younger. We're not quite there, but
Yeah.
I could see a future where whatever it is they're interested in, we help them to do that. And the parallel here is that's leadership. Parenting is leadership. So I think what you're doing is even without knowing what all of your transformative leadership principles are from your book, because you haven't told us yet. Still, I know that you're living it by what you're doing today with your family.
Now, this is a really great point you bring up, Pete, and I think it really applies to corporate settings as well. I always tell people that essentially when my kids were growing up, I had a parent-child relationship with them. During their teen years, they wanted more authority, but weren't willing to take the responsibility. I wanted to give them responsibility, but didn't want to give them the authority. But now that we're all adults, we have an adult business deal. And so this is so applicable in organizations, because sometimes leaders sort of treat everybody else as if they're children. And it's like, okay, I'll protect you from bad news and I'll give you a little bit of information. And it's just something that, I've personally learned from in my own experience, in my personal and professional life. And I work with organizations to help them create that kind of culture.
Mm-hmm. I have this image as you were describing, this teeter-totter, if you will,
Yes.
of authority, responsibility, which one do I want, and
right.
What am I willing to give you, back and forth. And you could have you were talking about your relationship with your family and your kids, but you could have substituted out and said, my team, my employees,
absolutely,
the new hire, whatever. And it's that same teeter-totter dynamic. Say a little bit more about authority versus responsibility. What's similar or different between the two of them?
Well, what I've really discovered is that in many organizations, the leaders are somewhat frustrated because people are not taking initiative and responsibility. People are frustrated because they feel that their bosses are kind of holding on to the authority. And so to me, if there's a balance between authority and responsibility, then we ought to really take it to that next level where we say, look, I'm willing to generously give you authority, and you are willing to responsibly sort of accept that accountability. And when that happens, instead of leaders holding back on giving the authority and people holding back on taking responsibility, then we really create a balance at a much higher level, and everyone is engaged and involved and really being responsible for delivering extraordinary results.
Well, and what you're describing here is so important. And what I'm realizing, and so I'm going to just openly talk to all of the folks who are watching or listening. Yeah. What I just got, I hope you got the same thing, which is I'm ready to challenge myself to see, am I playing that way? Because of course I have a team here, and am I holding on to the authority without giving a responsibility? So that's what you just challenged me on, Amir, is this, it's a self-check, right? It's like, am I blowing it?
Yeah, and this is what I discovered. I was the plant manager of a plant that was the worst plant in the company, and we eventually turned it around within a year and a half when we became the best. But the actual moment when things started to change was the moment when I discovered that I was the culprit, and all the problems that we had, it was either created by me, or I was contributing to them, or I was tolerating them. So it really is it has to start with you. And then you begin to create what I call in my book a high commitment culture. Mm-hmm. And I describe, I basically create or talk about 34 distinctions between a traditional culture and a high commitment culture that leaders can intentionally go out and influence. And when you do that, it's a beautiful thing. The results will come and morale goes up and everything works.
Well, and that's really good news for us. If there are 34 different things that we can control, it's not like, oh, I can only control one thing and it's not working, woe is me, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
not the story at all that I'm hearing from you. I'm hearing you describe, hey, there's 34 different elements that you can control. And if you start doing, and imagine what you'll describe and tell us is that there's a lot of little things you do on a daily
oh
basis.
yeah,
It's not a big giant, effort that it's not like you have to go and invest capital. Here we are talking at Fabtech, which,
right.
of course, on the expo floor at McCormick Place, these are big honking pieces of equipment, robotics and welding and lasers and the displays in these booths as you walk around is just it's incredible. I've run into metal aliens and I've run the displays are just really, really cool.
Right.
These are, tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
for capital investment. And what you're talking about is going to have impact that's so critical because the leadership and what you create with your culture is so critical that what you end up with is impact, but it's
Yeah.
not requiring the money the same way. It's a different.
Exactly. That's the beautiful thing about it. In some of the most successful turnarounds that I've been involved in, we literally did not have to change anything about the equipment or the process. It was all about changing the culture. And one of those areas that we're going to hone in on during the Fabtech presentation that you and I are a part of is my topic is how to have the conversation that matters, the conversations that matter in the workplace, because oftentimes we sort of avoid conversations that we know we need to have. And those are the ones that hold the key to creating that culture, creating that feeling of, somebody's got my back or I'm accountable, things like that. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation with our audience because in my book, again, I've outlined 5 steps. I'm not a big prescription guy, like go do this, 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 this. But I've got 5 steps that create a guideline for having the conversation you've been avoiding.
Mm.
You see, and most of us have those conversations, kind of like that rock in your shoe that you kind of push to the side because you keep running and it just comes back with a vengeance. It's like, look, sometimes you got to stop and have the conversation. And oftentimes people just don't know how to do that because they envision that conversation not going very well the way they've experienced it in the past. So I outlined these steps and people all over the world are reporting to me that these steps really, really work. So we're going to dig into those and a few other things, of course, during that session.
Very good. And using your metaphor, that's like people don't know that they can actually unlace their shoe, take
Yes.
their foot out, turn the shoe upside down, shake out the rock, and then just remove it altogether.
Yeah, and feel so relieved and fulfilled and all of that after that. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And what I really love about this conversation is, you're describing the importance of the cultural undertone that's created here. And, I've had a similar journey, in our business. We generally talk about, consulting and helping clients with strategy and engagement, and then leadership and culture. And leadership and culture is always the thing that, the client conversation ends up being, well, let's talk strategy or execution. Like, how do we improve our operational performance or our delivery for our customers and clients? And we're happy to go there, or help us with, we're not executing our strategy very well, help us with that. And we're happy to start there if that's what's important to them. What we will eventually bump into is leadership and culture issues. And
Yes.
Inevitably, because those are the things, you could have everything right on the strategy and you can have your plans absolutely technically buttoned up to the T and still have the results fall apart or not even arrive in the first place because you don't have leadership and culture in place. So
true. Very true.
You're nailing this for us in this
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank you so much, Pete. Appreciate
Yeah, I
it.
really like this. And so reminding everybody, Fabtech Expo, FabtechExpo.com, and look up the learning and development platform for 2019. We're on the agenda. This is the leadership and development workshop in the afternoon on Tuesday. And Amir and I are just two of the people who will be there. There are a total of 5 of us, and it is going to be impactful. You get what the conversation sounds like today. We're all presenting. You'll all hear a piece of the pie, and you'll get to eat a big pie as a result of being part of this conversation. So if you can make it, do it. I hope you can. And if you can, I hope the content here with Amir today is very fruitful for you. I encourage you to look up his book. I know I'm about to, and go on Amazon or wherever and grab it, because there's 34 things that I could be doing differently that impact my business, then I'm interested in that right there. It's like, Amir, you had me at hello, right?
Thank you so much, Pete.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining today, and we will catch you again soon. Hey, Pete here again. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I invite you to come back to this video channel, or go to the podcast channel for Business Results Radio. Check it out, subscribe, give a 5-star review, and go ahead and share it with your friends. Until then, we'll see you again.